Professor Sarah is back, y'all, and today I'm here to talk to you about ADHD and relationships. Hello, I am Professor Sarah, and class, it's in session.
Y'all, I had a pixie cut and now I'm growing it out. And I have a literal mullet. Look at that.
If you're new here and you are not pity watching this because you know me in real life, welcome. The people who are pity watching this, you are also very welcome, but this is an introduction. So, I'm Sarah. I have ADHD. I am 28 years old, and I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was 26 years old. If you want to see videos about an adult woman living with ADHD and how that affects her life,
My life.
how about you go ahead and click that subscribe button and maybe hit that notification bell if you want a notification when I upload new content.
I mean, really, who wouldn't?
Yeah, that'd be nice if you did that. Yeah, Professor Sarah is back in the building, y'all. This video is not solely about romantic relationships. It's about any relationship. Be that a friendship, a relationship that you have with your coworkers, your relationship with your friends.
That's what a friendship is a friend relationship.
Relationships that you have with strangers that you interact with. Relationships that you have with professionals, like your doctor. Relationships that you have with your family. It's about any relationship. It's about how ADHD can make those relationships a real struggle sometimes. Number one is impulsivity and a low tolerance for frustration or boredom.
Boredom short circuits my brain.
Relationships aren't always as
fun and new and exciting
as they start out, and anyone who's been in any significant, lengthy romantic relationship knows that. And that's hard for someone with ADHD. Trouble paying attention. When people with ADHD are engaged in conversations, we can be trying to pay attention, and we may be paying attention, but then we'll think of something else, and that will lead us down a rabbit hole.
An entire rabbit hole of other thoughts.
The person we're speaking with doesn't know that we're having these thoughts and we're going down this rabbit hole, and we miss it. We don't catch everything. That can lead to a lot of problems in relationships when you don't remember something that was asked of you because you were thinking about how you needed to return the item that you had just ordered from Kohl's.
I'm looking at a Kohl's box right now.
When someone is talking to you and you aren't able to hold up your end of the conversation, that can make you seem unresponsible and irresponsible and unreliable, which are really negative traits for any relationship. A lot of times you really struggle with organization, and that manifests itself in household duties. So if you live with someone, anyone, whether it be your romantic partner or your family or a roommate, they may perceive that as a lack of consideration.
God bless my college roommates who are all very neat people, because I wasn't.
It was very difficult for me to keep up with household chores. It can cause a lot of resentment on both sides of the equation. The person or the people who are always having to clean up after you or do the things that should be your responsibility feel resentful because they're taking on more than their fair share. And you, or the person who has ADHD, can start to feel constantly nagged or not good enough. So a lot of relationships with people with ADHD tend to look and feel kind of like parent-child relationships, where there's one partner who is responsible and always having to remind the ADHD partner of appointments or things that they need to get done. And it feels like from the ADHD side, it feels like someone constantly, you need to clean your room, or you can't do this, you need to do this. I am the person who, if you text me, I may read it
and say, oh yes, I'm going to respond to this.
And then it's 27 days later and I'm scrolling through my texts because I'm bored.
And I just am thinking about people I've talked to. I don't know why I do that, but I'm scrolling through my text and I notice.
Oh no.
Oh no. Oh no.
I wrote that response in my head. Maybe I started typing on my phone, but I never sent it. And so then I have this friend who I usually initiated a conversation with, who asked me a question about how I'm doing.
Or insert general question that friends ask each other here.
And I haven't responded to it in a month. And so even if we do care very much about our relationship, sometimes we can let it kind of slip away or fall to the wayside, and it really comes across as if we don't really care that much. People with ADHD have an extremely hard time regulating their emotions. We experience,
oh no,
very high highs
and very low lows.
And we are quick to anger when we are frustrated. We're quick to anger. And that can be really detrimental for relationships, because along with the impulsivity, an inability to really regulate your emotions can lead you to blow up over the smallest thing, or a lot of times in my case, just start frustration crying. Your brain is not saying, hey, maybe you shouldn't say this really mean thing or this really reactive thing, and you just say it. And obviously it's important to be honest about how you're feeling and stuff, but everybody has those moments where they want to say something because they're angry and they're reacting to a situation, or they're upset and they're reacting to something. People with ADHD are terrified to fail. A lot of times, children who are diagnosed with ADHD, or even adults who are diagnosed with ADHD later, are constantly told, whether it be through the school system or by family.
Thankfully, I don't really fall into this category, but
You're super lazy. You can't keep anything clean. You're impulsive. You make rash decisions without thinking about them. And so, especially with women, due to gender roles and gender stereotypes, we're expected to perform at a higher emotional level than men. If you have a very rowdy boy, that kind of behavior will be dismissed as boys will be boys, which don't even get me started on that phrase. It's more dismissed, where if you have a rowdy girl, it's like,
clutching my pearl, my goodness.
Your child, she's out of control. And so women learn to kind of mask those symptoms a little more, just due to cultural influence and cultural impact, gender roles, gender stereotypes. Because of that, we are really, really afraid of failing. And that means, and boy howdy, let me tell you, how many times have I started a conversation with a girl that I matched
with on Bumble BFF, because that's a thing.
And I don't know how to make friends as an adult, so that's what I'm doing. Bumble BFF, and I have a conversation and the person says, hey, we should meet up for coffee. That doesn't happen anymore because it's coronavirus and that's irresponsible, but same idea applies. Someone would reach out and say, hey, you know, like, we've been talking for a little while, we should meet up, we should do a game night or have coffee. And the fact of being one-on-one with a virtual stranger is terrifying to me, because what if I'm not as funny as I was online? What if I'm not as smart as I seemed online? What if they decide they hate me on this coffee friend date?
Oh no. And I am left sitting alone, and that means I have failed at being a good friend and, dare I say it, a good person.
So I don't go on those coffee dates. I say, oh, I'm busy that day, and then I ghost them. I'm not Professor Sarah right now. I'm real Sarah. And if I've ever ghosted you on Bumble BFF, I truly apologize. And I probably thought that you were super cool and I was really scared to meet you. I would rather not make a new friend and not have a great new friend than try and make a new friend and it not work out. People don't really want to have relationships with someone who is inconsistent or unreliable, and that's a lot of the time how people with ADHD come across. These are obviously not all of the challenges that come along with being an ADHD person in a relationship of any sort with someone who does not have ADHD. If you were in a relationship with someone who also has ADHD, those are just a few of the challenges and symptoms, and it's really important for you, if you do have ADHD, to be as communicative as possible with anyone that you're interacting with so they know where you're coming from. And if you are in a more long-term, more serious relationship with someone who has ADHD, whether that be a friendship or a romantic relationship or whatever, to do some research and to understand where that person is coming from so that there aren't those big misunderstandings that can really, really end relationships and burn those bridges. So, again, I am no longer Professor Sarah. I am going to go make some dinner. And on that note,